everyone. Any chance I can get to do that? That's fun. Welcome. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order. Today is Wednesday, January 25th. Holy Moses, my birthday's in 2 days. And it is 6:30 p.m., so we are going to get started. Chief Foss, would you mind getting us started with the tribal recognition?
Yes, of course. Hopefully that's on. We acknowledge the Nisenan people are still among us here today. Though they nearly invisible through their story continues to be excluded from history. We understand we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families are yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as the campaign to restore tribal sovereignty through federal recognition.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chief. I think it's nice to bring a multitude of voices in on that recognition. Councilmember Klein, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A note to everybody, Mayor Fleming is not present this evening. Madam Deputy Clerk, could you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Cece?
Here.
Councilmember Klein?
Here.
Councilmember Peterson?
Here.
Vice Mayor Fernandez?
Here. Great. Next, we're going to, now is the time for any agenda modifications. If you would like to make any changes to the agenda, pull consent items, or do we have any recusals to announce? All right. And the city manager has an item of subsequent need that he would like us to consider adding. Sean, please tell us what that is.
Yes, Vice Mayor, as the council and the community, I'm sure are aware there's been a number of shootings throughout California in the last 5 or 6 days, including more than 17 individuals killed. To that end, I'd recommend that you would add business item 8 to your agenda, which would be consideration of resolution number 2023-06, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, California, honoring the victims of the tragedies in Monterey Park, California, and Half Moon Bay, California, and decrying the acts of violence. These events did occur after the posting of the agenda last Friday, and immediate action of the council to adopt the resolution would be appropriate so that it's timely instead of waiting, a month till you would adopt such a resolution. So if you saw fit, we would add a resolution as item number 8 for your consideration. It requires a 4/5 vote of the council to add it as an urgency item, which, since we only have 4 members present, means it requires all 4 of you to vote on it. So it would be appropriate for you to take a motion and a second to add this to the agenda, and if it passes or doesn't pass, either way, to take another first and second to adopt the agenda in its entirety with or without the resolution if the council desires.
Great.
I move to add the item.
A second.
Great. We have a motion in a second. Motion by Councilmember Cece, a second by Councilmember Klein. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Does this need to be a roll call? It's fine. Okay, aye.
All right, motion carries.
Awesome. Thank you. And then if we could also adopt the agenda as it is with the addition.
Great. So I'm looking for a motion and a second to adopt the agenda.
Move that we adopt the agenda with the addition.
A second.
Great. Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? No one. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Okay, public comment for all of you folks out there in the audience. Government Code Section 54954.3 provides that any member of the public may address the City Council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The council cannot take action on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each item at the time each item is heard. Do we have any public comment for things not on the agenda? All right. right, and Gabby online?
None online.
All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. I am looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar.
So moved?
Second.
Great. Motion by Councilmember Cece, second by Councilmember Peterson. Are there any objections to the motion? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Thanks, folks.
I think we have to vote.
There was no objections log, but we could, yeah, it's unanimous.
Great. That's what my script said. So. All right, moving on to business. We're just trucking right along here. Business item number 6, consideration of an increase in authorization from $40,000 to $60,000 for the Business Development Fee Waiver Program. Mr. City Manager, tell us more about it, please.
Awesome. At your October 26th meeting, you approved the October 26th last year. You approved our business fee waiver program, sustainability and business development fee waiver program. And at the time you approved it, we set a limit of $40,000. It's $2,000 maximum per business, and it's good through June 30th of next year. And you asked specifically what would happen if we got to that level, and I said I think it would be great if we got to that level, and I'll bring it back to you and ask for you to increase it. And so we're at that point. I'm actually going to ask you to increase it to $100,000 tonight, not $60,000, and I'll tell you why before you get sticker shock really quick. We built this around the $2,000 limit is really functionally that someone could get their fees related to parklet, encroachment permit, and or a conditional use permit for outdoor dining. Some of the things that were allowed during COVID that are no longer allowed and have to be brought up to modern code. So that's where that upper cap landed. What we're finding is that the majority of people that are applying are using it only for business licenses. So while we've issued the $50,000 or the $40,000 in credit, we've only seen about $2,200 in actual usage come in. Add to that we are seeing a large influx of businesses that are event vendors and or participate in farmers market that are not in the city, so they couldn't even use anything more than a business license at this point. So I don't anticipate that we would exceed even the $40,000 in actual use of the fee credit, but because we set that upper limit at $2,000 per business and we're issuing that to them as we keep getting more and more, I would anticipate that we'll hit that cap, but our actual usage will certainly be well below the 40,000. Even if it wasn't, this is not money out of the city's coffers. Will be unrealized revenues, and add to the fact that as these business licenses are coming in from like the vendors that have not historically gotten business licenses, those are revenues we would not have seen anyway. We will now, but we won't. We'll capture them in the future. So that'd be my recommendation, that you increase it from not from 40 to 60, but from 40 to 100. And my hopes would be that we don't come back to you. We'll continue to advertise the program, get as many people as possible along the way. And you will hear your mid-year budget at your next meeting on February 22nd. And you will hear at that time that our revenues are outpacing projections and our expenditures are on par or less than anticipated. So if that was a concern to you in approving this program, we will be in a position to ask for you to execute on some of the deferred capital items that were initially not funded in the budget when we get to mid-year budget. I would ask that you increase this evening, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much for that awesome news. Bringing it back to the, yes.
Sorry, Madam Vice Mayor, I did have one additional consideration, is that the city planner will be implementing a sign compliance program next month. So there has been a proliferation of signs throughout the city. And during COVID, there was, a lack of approval process for a variety of reasons. Many of the signs are otherwise compliant, except for that they didn't apply. Some of them are not. But Amy is going to work with all those business owners to get them into compliance, to get them through the review process, get them through the planning commission if necessary, and to get those signs approved as they should be. And this would be a great use for those businesses as well. None of them that are on that list of having signs that are not approved are currently in the fee waiver program, so I'd anticipate some of those joining as well. So just a side note. Thank you.
Great,
Madam
thank
Vice
you
Mayor.
so much. I'm happy to hear about the sign compliance. I think that's an important part of maintaining our culture in town. Bringing it back to the table, thoughts, questions, comments from council members?
Just a clarification. So everyone who applies gets 2,000, a grant, or,
A credit
A
of
credit
fee
of
waivers
2,000.
of up to 2,000.
okay. But no one has asked for less than 2,000.
No one's asked for a credit of less than 2,000.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, so a couple questions. So I'm trying to understand this. I'm reading the numbers. We've gone through the 40,000, so people are reserving that money, but they haven't acted on that.
Correct.
And the time limit is, you said June 30th next year. Do you mean June 30th this year?
This year.
This year, okay. So if they have not exercised those options by June 30th of this year, they no longer have the credit.
Correct.
Okay, I need the time limit. I was wondering what might be precipitating a significant increase, but you think there's that many signs out there?
That many signs, and we received, I think, since I posted the agenda, I think we received 15 applications, almost all from farmers market vendors.
Okay.
But, so at the 2,000 amount, that would, now most of those aren't in the city, so their amount won't be 2,000, it'll be the 121, that's the business license for them. But they could apply if they came into the city for the remainder of it. But everyone that has a business in the city, we're crediting them $2,000 towards the fee waiver program, anticipating they won't use it. And had we structured it differently, where we said, tell us how much you want in credit, we probably could have nailed it down a lot better. But we wanted to make this as easy as possible. It's literally 6 questions. They email me,
Right.
I put it on a spreadsheet. Tanya has access to it, and so very simple for the
No,
businesses.
I think the process is really good. I guess so it's not just unrealized, but it's unrealized, unbudgeted revenues. So we haven't built our budget based on receiving these revenues. They would be, because they can't be foreseen.
Yes, and we're on track for business license revenues at mid-year, so,
Great.
but we would anticipate some of these, would not, some of the business licenses, people would renew their business license in May, and we would normally get that $121 revenue or that $137 revenue, that we won't from this, but it won't be nearly
Yeah, I understand.
the top dollar.
I understand. The only final comment I have on this is I'm happy to see that there's a time limit on it, and I do recall that now. I have to be careful about setting expectations that forever we have this program and nobody has to pay ever again, because I've seen where these things could go, and we can't be in the business of doing that. As I like to say, we still have to pay for a city.
Yes.
So, great. Thank you very much. That answers all my questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, Gary. I think that, this was an effort to help folks struggling post-COVID, and we can do that for a little while, but it's not set in stone.
Yeah, right. We have to be careful with that. Yep.
Just to follow up, so the program will expire before summer nights? Yeah?
The program will expire June 30th for use, but for example, if you're asking, could someone that wanted to vend over the summer or even into Victorian Christmas this year, they could get their business license now or in May.
Good.
Under the fee waiver, and it would be good until next May of 2024, for example.
Do you, Sean, have any sense of, just communication-wise,
what brought most people, most of the businesses that are using this to find it? Was it through the chamber? Was it through the city website, some other venue? Just for the future when we're trying to communicate with.
So the initial influx came almost exclusively from either Chief Foss or I being at one of the merchant meetings. And as we're moving along, it's mostly from one of two things. Either they've talked to somebody else who is already in the program, or the chamber and or the farmers market notifying their vendor list that you probably want to get in this program.
Cool, thanks.
Thanks for that, Adam. I had a question too about just sort of, you would use the word advertising, and I was wondering how that happened. Was there also like a press release? Was it?
There was a press release. It was on CanCO and KVMR, and there was an article in the Union as well.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, I am. Are we set? Good.
Do we take public comment?
Yes, we should. We should absolutely take public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? All right, and what about online?
No. Everybody's here tonight that's coming.
All right, and I'm looking, so recommended action is approve the increased authorization. I'm looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the increased authorization.
A second.
Great, and can we, do we need to specify that the increase?
With the requested increase, it's fine.
Got it. All right, we've got a motion by Councilmember Klein and a second by Councilmember Peterson. All those in favor?
I would actually
Do a roll call.
On new business, I do roll call.
Great.
Vice Mayor, thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Cece.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes. Great, thank you. Next, we have number 7, item number 7, a consideration of resolution number 2023-04, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, California, adopting the City Council's investment policy. Take it away, Stephen, hello.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and members of the City Council. Your investment policy requires that the City Council review and adopt the policy on an annual basis, which your last review occurred on January 26th of 2022. However, your policy can always be amended at any time to accomplish the goals and objectives of the Council. Since your last review, the elected city treasurer position was transitioned to an appointed position with the city manager and the chief financial officer sharing responsibility for investments under the council's direction and the investment policy. So City Manager Grayson and I reviewed the investment policy and are recommending the following revisions with the intention of enhancing transparency, mitigating risk, and ensuring portfolio diversification. So the first is a change in format that is more concise, yet still incorporates the fundamentals in the city's policy that was adopted on January 26th of 2022. This policy also incorporates a new section listing prohibited investments per the California Government Code. This policy also adds a section on prudence as defined in the California Government Code section 53600.3. And finally, we're recommending some modifications to the maximum limits for the following authorized investments. So your federal agencies such as Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, your current maximum limit is 100%. We're recommending a maximum amount of 50% of the total investment portfolio and reducing the maximum issuer limit from 50% down to 25% to ensure portfolio diversification. Your insured certificates of deposit, the maximum amount is 20%. We're suggesting we keep that maximum amount. However, the maximum value per institution should only be $250,000 or the lesser of the current FDIC limit. So that's what we're proposing in this policy. And then finally, your money market mutual funds, we're recommending a maximum amount of 20% of the investment portfolio with a maximum per investment of 10% per money market fund. Again, ensuring diversification, mitigation of risk, etc. So the investment policy conforms with the California Government Code. And in this case, your investment policy is more restrictive than California Government Code requires. And again, that is to ensure mitigating risk so that the city's funds and the taxpayer monies are secure, yet realize the highest yield possible. I have attached the LAIF, or Pooled Money Investment Account investment policy, since a good portion of the city's investments are in LAIF. And your investment policy also states that you are to receive quarterly reports. And we anticipate that the fourth quarter report for 2022 will be presented to you at your next council meeting in February. This policy that you're going to adopt tonight does not have an immediate financial impact to you. It just tightens up your investment portfolio, again, to ensure the mitigation of any risk. With that, I'll take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And for those watching, just a reminder, Stephen is our interim assistant city manager and focused on finances, and that was great. Thank you so much. Bringing it back to the table, thoughts, comments, questions? And we'll just do it in open style as before.
I just wanted to comment. It's nice to see this policy, Steve. It's very well done. It's been a while since I read one, and yours was good. I managed to stay awake. It's not the most scintillating stuff, but I really appreciate the way that you set out to protect the investments. Also, in these days, it's so difficult to ensure maximum benefit return on our investments because it's also small. But I think it's an excellent policy. It's very readable, and it supports the transparency and the continuing progress of updating policies that seem to be continue to be at that for a while in Nevada City. But thank you. I think it's really well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
If I may?
Please.
I have proven to myself over and over again that I'm lousy at investments, so I hire other people to do that for me. But I heard you say a maximum 50% and then two other categories with a maximum of 20%. So I'm worried or wondering about what the extra 10% might be. And since those are maximums, they could also go down to their minimum, so there's additional percentage. What happens with that?
So are you referring to the money market mutual funds, I believe?
There was one that was at 50%, and then one at 20%, and another one at a 20% max. So that's
Yes.
90%. What happens to the other 10?
So the other 10 could be in U.S. Treasuries, which was part of your policy that was adopted in 2022. That has no maximum limit because U.S. Treasuries are your safest investment possible. So you could have the rest of the 10%, assuming you maxed out those three categories that I listed that we're proposing changes to. You could have 5% in treasuries or 10% in treasuries. Typically, though, you'll have money in a pooled market or a pooled cash fund like LAIF. So LAIF could comprise the other portion, but usually it would be U.S. Treasuries. That's generally the course that most cities do take.
Okay.
So what you're seeing there are the proposed changes that we've made. It doesn't encompass every investment opportunity.
That's the short answer. Thank you.
Sorry for the long-winded response.
We got there.
I just thought I would contribute that those limits are not reflective of the entire spectrum of investments that we have. It's just those specific areas were limited. I think, is that correct, Steve?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. You got nothing.
I got nothing.
All right.
I mean, Gary said everything I was going to say verbatim, which is weird.
Yeah,
You're weird, man. You're weird.
that is strange. I saw him peeking at your notes.
That's what it was.
I also have nothing to add to the conversation. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution and Oh, yes, darn it. Public comment. You guys are so important. I'd love to hear from you if you have any thoughts, comments, or questions. All right. And online?
No one.
Nada. Okay, now I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution and adopt the investment policy.
I move that we approve resolution number 2023-04, the city council's investment policy.
Second.
Great. We have a motion by Councilmember Peterson. I like that you were practicing that. That was well done. And a second by Councilmember CC. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Councilmember Cece?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez?
Yes.
Passes
All right.
4-0.
Moving right along. Number 8. Now we are at the consideration of resolution number 2023-06, a resolution of the City Council. Thank you, Stephen. Excuse me. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, California, honoring the victims of the tragedies in Monterey Park, California, and Half Moon Bay, California, and decrying the acts of violence. Can I go ahead and read that?
Sure.
Is now the time for that?
Perfect.
Perfect time. Great. Resolution 2023-06, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, California, honoring the victims of the tragedies in Monterey Park, California, and Half Moon Bay, California, and decrying acts of violence. Whereas a senseless act of violence was perpetrated on January 21st, 2023 in Monterey Park, California, killing at least 11 people and injuring many more at what was otherwise a joyous celebration. And whereas a second senseless act of violence was perpetrated on January 23rd, 2023 in Half Moon Bay, California, killing at least 7 and injuring many more. And whereas the violence in both incidents was targeted at minority community members, including the Asian American and Pacific Islander community and the Hispanic Latinx community. And whereas the AAPI, the Asian American and Pacific Islander and Hispanic Latinx communities are among many that have experienced racism and race-based violence in California and throughout our nation. And whereas on June 27th, 2018, the Nevada City Council adopted resolution number 2018-47 that proclaimed in part, we wish to be known that our city declares itself to be a hate-free zone. We are a community that embraces a diversity in which we treat one another with human dignity and respect. This is a core value of our city. And we proclaim that we remain committed to diversity and to fostering an atmosphere of inclusiveness that respects the dignity and worth of every person without regard to race, color, sex, religion, ancestry, national origin, immigration status, marital status, age, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or familial status. And we declare that we denounce hate speech, hate crimes, harassment, racial bias, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, anti-immigrant activity, and harmful bias and discrimination in all forms. Whereas on March 9th, 2022, the Nevada City Council adopted resolution number 2022-19, affirming its support for and commitment to a safe, just, equitable, diverse, and inclusive Nevada City. And whereas on January 22nd, 2023, Governor Gavin Newsom issued a proclamation calling on Californians to stand with the people impacted by the tragedy in Monterey Park, California. And on January 24th, 2023, similarly recognized the tragedy in Half Moon Bay, California. And whereas on January 22nd, 2023, President Joe Biden issued a proclamation honoring the victims of the Monterey Park, California tragedy and ordering the flag of the United States to be flown at half-staff until sunset on January 26, 2023, and on January 24th, 2023, recognized the additional devastation of the tragedy in Half Moon Bay, California. And whereas the Nevada City Council supports open discourse that includes differences in and diversity among political, policy, and emotional perspectives, but resolutely decries violence in such discourse. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Nevada City honors the victims of the tragedy in Monterey Park, California, and Half Moon Bay, California, and calls upon those that live, work, play in Nevada City, Nevada County, and the state of California to support and show solidarity with our friends, neighbors, family, and everyday people as they celebrate the diversity and values that define Nevada City. Any public comment in the room? Or online?
No, there's not.
Any additional comments from the council?
It is time for this sort of thing to stop.
Here, here.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to take. It's insanity to a degree that's just becoming more and more incomprehensible. However it happens, whoever inflicts it on whoever, the rampant taking of life almost randomly needs to stop. It's just, I don't know what we have, I don't know how far we have to go before actions are taken to prevent this from continuing. So I fully support this.
I remember once going to a forum, I guess it was held by our previous Congressman, Doug LaMalfa, and the line grew really quick for people who wanted to say something to the congressman. And I kind of got my courage up and got in line as he had resisted any attempt to curb access to weapons for people who should not have access to weapons. And I just thought that the question I would have for anyone who had the ability to do something about it and refused to do anything with that power was, what's the number? What's the number of people where you will actually act on it? Is it 1 billion? Do 1 billion people need to be killed senselessly before you do anything with the power you've got? I didn't get to ask him that because the line was too long, because everybody else was asking important questions too. And then I don't think he came back here and did another forum. But there is a solution because every other country's figured this out. And it's just inaction that keeps leading to the same conclusion again and again. That's all I got.
Thank you all. Sean, I want to thank you for putting this together. I think it was beautifully written and spoken, and I was honored to read those words. And unfortunately, we're going to continue to release resolutions of this nature, and I appreciate it being done so quickly. And I'd like to work with you to make sure that we have that in place always. Because sure, yes, it needs to stop. Unfortunately, it's not going to anytime soon. So thank you. I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution.
I move we approve the resolution.
I second.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Klein, a second by Councilmember Cece. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Cece?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez?
Yes.
Passes 4-0.
Great, thank you. That really brought the energy to a different place, didn't it? That's what tragedy does, I suppose. We're moving on to the city manager, council member reports, and future agenda items. Let's hear from you, city manager, please.
Awesome. So today, had the honor to represent the city at the Board of Supervisors retreat on 2 items. Presented with the mayor on the state of the city. Essentially, each of the Board of Supervisors did a state of their district, and then Grass Valley, Nevada City, and the town of Truckee, mayor and city manager did a brief presentation on basically what 2023 looks like. And thanks to your leadership at the council level and the input from the community, our future is very bright. Acting upon your recently adopted strategic plan, we still have many, many challenges in front of us, but I think defining the areas that are important for the community to work on help us navigate those challenges much better than blindfold dart throwing, which is also a way to govern, but less effective ultimately in the long run. Additionally, in the afternoon, we were able to, the city and the county have a partnership. It's now called the task force to look at the reuse of the courthouse. And we're on a 5 to 7 year timeline to move the folks out of that building and into a new location. And so we had a very good discussion. They will be adding that to their capital improvement plan budget for this coming fiscal year, including a reuse study, a highest and best use reuse study. I suggested that the city would entertain looking at participating in that through our normal budgetary process. I would encourage you to do so. That's almost a $6 million financial engine to the city and the historic downtown that cannot be replaced easily. But it was a great meeting. I hope in the future that the city is offered the opportunity to participate more, but really county staff was great, and the board members were gracious in allowing us to do what hasn't been done very much recently. There's no February 8th council meeting, so our next council meeting will be February 22nd, so we'll see everyone then. At the Board of Supervisors meeting yesterday, the Board of Supervisors approved a $60,000 grant award to the city to do water and wastewater modeling of our system. That was brought about by your city engineer, Brian McAllister. Great process, great thing. We need that anyway, and it's just going to help us in a lot of regards. And I'd also
Modeling?
What's that?
What's modeling?
It like voguing, like walking down the runway.
That's what I was picturing.
Yeah. Great.
I was picturing Brian.
I'll let him answer the question, and then I'd love to have him. Yeah. And he'll also share an award plaque that him and Bill won very recently. So take it away, Brian.
Good evening. So modeling is a computer model that has the water and sewer system in it that shows the flow and pressure of water through pipes so that you can see what capacity the pipes have and then what it would take if you were to add 100 new homes or more housing in particular areas. And the grant that the county is using for the funds is specifically to support housing. So yeah, that's what we're looking forward to that model, and it'll be presented to you all with the findings once we get the report.
Great.
So last week we were awarded Project of the Year for the Commercial Street project by the Engineers Association. Yes. And if you look at the projects on here, there's a lot of projects in Grass Valley. We've got a few NID projects here and then a few in Nevada City. So we're proud of this. It really reflects the community. It's, because it was a community effort and it was a lot of local contractors involved. And so we'll keep the plaque for a year, and then next year they'll vote in another project of the year. So
Another one of our projects, I'm sure.
We'll keep the plaque.
Keep it for a while.
So there's 15 engineers' names on that plaque, and there's only one name that's there twice, and it is Brian's.
Hey. Brian, congratulations. That's great. That just
Appreciate it.
speaks volumes to your work and also how exciting for the city as a whole.
Appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
I, for one, am excited about the model. It's remembering that all models are wrong, but some of them are useful. The great quote on models, but it's true. That's every engineer will tell you that.
Yeah.
And that is all I have, Madam Vice Mayor.
Great. Thank you, City Manager. Now it's council member reports. Who would like to get us started? Adam, would you?
We're going to go alphabetically by first name?
Yes.
Okay. We got exciting stuff coming up. We got the Green Waste event that's going to be at the Rood Center. That's February the 11th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Folks in the city, you signed up for the whole time, just like me. The folks in the city can bring whatever green waste they've got. We're looking to move fuels off of the ground, and we'll have bins there from Waste Management that they are generously donating for this, loaning us, I should say. They're not giving it to them. It's not a donation. I misspoke. But we are going to load that up, and yeah, let your neighbors know. Let's get the fuels off the ground in next month.
Can I ask a question? A follow-up question?
Gosh, I think so.
Great.
You have the gavel.
Yes, I do. Question, how are you getting word out?
Just this right here to you
Yeah.
guys.
How else?
Also, social media, the website,
Press release,
Press
it'll be in the Union next week.
all that stuff.
Covering all the areas. Awesome.
This is part of why I asked him how he got the waiver program out there so well. Yeah, looking forward to that. And let's see. We got our friends at the Chamber of Commerce are having their awards night at the Miners Foundry. That's the 4th?
Saturday.
Saturday, the 4th of February. That's going to be a fun time. The Vibrancy Committee is having our first meeting on the 2nd of February. I can't wait to find out what the Vibrancy Committee is going to do. It's exciting to have a new committee, wouldn't you say, my colleague?
I would say, we do have an agenda, so we do have things that we're going to do.
Well, yeah. But like, what are we going to do with those things? That's what's exciting.
Right.
That stuff's all to look forward to. And then my colleague, the vice mayor's birthday's in 2 days. And you're caught up with everything. I don't think the rest of you guys have anything to say.
That's it. Thank you. You covered it all.
So if we're going alphabetically by first name, Lou, you're the next one.
Okie dokie.
Wait, G, doesn't G come before L?
And D, for that matter.
Well, I was going to go last. Forgive me.
It's the French spelling, starts with an A.
Gary, G,
French
Gary, right.
Yeah. No,
Peterson, Councilmember Peterson.
great. Thanks.
I apologize.
December 31st, I'll be attending a webinar on grant possibilities for parks.
Say that date again?
December 31st?
January 31st. Thank you. Thank you. Just figure out, possibilities there. A lot of money in that grant. Some we might be able to use. High match, but still always looking for opportunities. So that's part of the recreation subcommittee. I think we'll be taking up some issues with the infrastructure committee soon as well. Working on that. Again, I can't say enough about the public works folks. I get a really great bird's eye view from my house, but they're continuing to not just, they were well prepared for the storm, but by clearing drains and making sure that the roads were cleared, and they continue to work on that. They stopped by the front of made my wife very happy. She's sweeping up leaves and stuff and clearing the gutters, and they stopped by and checked the drain that's in front of my house, very substantial drain that captures like a couple of blocks worth of runoff. And so they stopped and checked that out, and while they were there, they shoveled her leaves up for her. So it was very well received in my household. But it's just a nice touch, So and they're out there. I see them out there working on it. So all is good in that regard, and I think I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. Thank you. Lou.
Thank you. So I was unable to attend the Fire Safety Advisory Committee last week, but my fellow member, Adam, ably handled that. Instead, I was at the California League of Cities academy for new mayors and council members, where I got lots of training and useful information on ethics, finance, and land use. All of it fascinating, much of it in detail, but the ethics could be boiled down to two things. One, there's always someone with a camera, and two, that person is not your friend. So always behave in an ethical manner. I also did some excellent networking, including talking to Maria Aliotti of Pittsburgh, who provided me with a list of developers who helped Pittsburgh build affordable housing. I then passed that list on to Manager Grayson, and hopefully he can distribute it to the housing people as needed. Also, I spoke to a member of the Paradise City Council who offered me some short lessons that they learned in recovering from their fire. And one of them was that density is not good for rural communities with a large urban wildland interface. So that was one thing. And the other one was that long streets with a single exit are death traps. And we have both of those problems here, so it's something for us to consider. He also offered to come and speak to us about those issues. Cool.
Thanks, Lou. Mayor Fleming and I held our first housing committee meeting on Monday. That went really well. We had a room full of people. Thank you all who came out and added your voices and expertise to the mix. We got some good feedback. We've got some tasks ahead of us we're excited to tackle. And yeah, looking forward to the Vibrancy Committee, which is next Thursday, the 2nd, in this room with Councilmember Klein and myself. We will be looking at starting a public art process. We will be looking at the future of the Seven Hills District and then a couple other things. So if you're interested in those topics, join us. We'd love to have you. And with that, anything else? Are we missing anything else? Pooji? All right. In that case, I'm looking for a motion in a second to adjourn this meeting.
I move we adjourn this meeting.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Second.
Yes, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, I'm having too much fun.
Majority wins. Meeting adjourned.
Good job.
I know.
Pete Peterson?
At your league, did you get your ethics training? Did they give you a certificate?
Yes.
Can you